Aloha, friends! Today we're going to learn how to retell a story by using your hand. So let's get started. I'm going to show you the story of the three little pigs. Now, you might have already read this story before, but I want you to see this version because this is the story we're going to retell today.
The Three Little Pigs by Russell Ginns. Illustrated by Mary Beth Nelson. In houses of straw and bricks and twigs, there lived three brothers. They were all little pigs. Someone tall, dark, and furry came down the street. He was big, he was bad, and he wanted to eat. "It's a big bad wolf," the first pig cried. So he ran to his straw house and hid inside. Little pig, let me come in. Not by the hair on my chinny chin chin." The wolf banged on the door and he stomped all around. Then he huffed and he puffed and he blew the house down. "I'll go see my brother," the little pig cried. So he ran to the twig house and hid inside. Little pigs, let me come in. Not by the hair on my chinny chin chin." The wolf banged on the door and he stomped all around. Then he huffed and he puffed and he blew the house down. "We'll go to our brother," the two pigs cried. So they ran to the brick house and hid inside. Little pigs, let me come in. Not by the hair on my chinny chin chin. The wolf banged on the door and he stomped all around. Then he huffed and he puffed and the house didn't fall down. It stood strong instead. "This is not," said the wolf, "the best way to get fed." "We're saved," the pigs cheered, as the wolf stomped away, and they danced and sang for the rest of the day. The end.
Okay, so we're going to stop right there and go to the next
The Three
page.
Little
Whoops.
Pigs
Let me
by
see.
Russell Ginns.
So what we're going to do is called a 5-finger retell. So I'm going to hold up my hand and I'm going to tell you each finger and even the middle of my hand has something that we can retell in most stories. So the first thing we're going to look at is the pink arrow, and it's called the characters. Now, the characters are the creatures, the animals, the people who are in the story. So let's think back to the story of the three little pigs. Who do you think the characters were in the story? It was, of course, the three little pigs and the big bad wolf. The next thing that's easy to tell about is the setting of the story. Now, the setting of the story is where the story takes place. And sometimes it might be when. So if it's like long, long, long ago, when there were dinosaurs, that might be the setting. Or it might just be outside or in a village. So the setting of the story in the Three Little Pigs was in the village where the pigs live at their three houses. Now we get into the details of the story. So if I'm holding up my hand, characters, who's in the story, setting, where it happened, and these three fingers are the details. And I like to think of that as the beginning, middle, and end. So beginning, middle, and end. So the beginning of a story is how the story starts. It tells about the characters, the setting, and kind of what happened first. So, in the story of the three little pigs, first, the pigs, they had their houses. One was built of straw, one was built of twigs, and the other one built their house of bricks. See how I gave details? The middle of the story. So, we're moving on to the middle of the story. It's usually the problem or the action part of the story. So, in the middle of the story, you notice the two little pigs are running because the big bad wolf blew the house made of straw down and he blew the house made of twigs down. So, those are kind of the good details of the middle of the story. The ending of the story is how they either solve their problem or what happened at the very, very end. In this case, there wasn't really a problem anymore because the house was so strong that was made out of brick that the wolf said, "This is not the best way to get fed," meaning he knew he couldn't blow their house down, and he walked away. That's how the problem was solved. They had a house that was just so sturdy, he gave up. And that's the ending of the story. So we talked about characters, setting, beginning, middle, and end, and we used our fingers to help us remember. Now there's one more thing, and it's the middle of your hand. And that is how the story made you feel, or that big word, connection, that you had to the story. So sometimes the story might remind you of something that's happened to you. Maybe you were building something, maybe a sandcastle, and it crumbled down because of the wind. Maybe that kind of reminded you because their houses were falling down. Or you read another story and it was, "Oh, I remember when I read this book." That was your connection. So look, there's a connection and it's called text to self, meaning myself. I know it. And then there's text to text, which is like another book or something that it reminds you of. And that, my friends, is how we retell a story with 5 fingers. 2, 3, 4, 5 in the middle. So can you remember characters, setting, beginning, middle, end, and your connection to the story? Today you're going to read The Three Bears, Goldilocks and the Three Bears. And I want you to practice using your hand to retell the story. Don't forget about that last part, the connection. All right, my friends, goodbye.